A very warm welcome to Newswatch tonight. Many thanks for joining us for this newscast. My name is Melissa Oduor. On the sign language is Boniface Mureithi. Newswatch begins now. Now, the county government of Nairobi will from Thursday morning kick-start a crackdown exercise against hawkers in the city's central business district. Speaking during a consultative meeting between the enforcement officers and representatives of the hawkers, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja announced the ban on hawking in sections of Nairobi's CBD and on walkways. And as Alice Diana reports, the governor has insisted that the law must be followed, particularly in areas where hawking is prohibited, vowing to ensure this is reinforced.
In a bid to restore sanity and dignity to Nairobi's Central Business District CBD, the county government of Nairobi has come up with new rules to tame hawkers from invading pavements and sections of streets within the CBD. According to Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, the move will not only be for the safety of hawkers who risk their lives while selling their commodities on the busy roads, but will allow motorists to move with ease.
Wengine wamejenga mpaka mawe town. Atikuuza kwa mawe umeseti. It's like you're building another building. We won't allow that. There will be no walking on the road. Kutandika vitu kwa barabara? Zero. That one we will not have. That one is an irreducible minimum even for their own safety. We will not have any hawking on the roads. You start enforcing it from tomorrow morning in the streets. Hata hapo Mudhurwa, hapo bus station.
In his orders, the governor also said hawking along Tomboya and Moi Avenue is prohibited as the areas have been marked for a multi-billion shilling project which is aimed at decongesting the city. He further stated that in places where hawking is not prohibited, hawkers will be allowed to begin their work from 4 p.m.
I want to make it clear, ile mambo ya Moi Avenue. We have said Moi Avenue. In fact, from Tomboya coming up to Moi Avenue, hizo lanes ina connect to Moi Avenue. Coming up, we will have no hawking there. No street business there. We will find another place. In fact, maybe they should be given the priority on the back lanes. Because we have a plan for that road. We have received billions from investors, from the French development agency in Likuwa, Paris. Tunafanya BRT. We are going to expand that road to be walkable. Because I am not just taking care of you. I'm also taking care of the Kenyans who are walking. Those who own shops are also taxpayers. So everybody must get their piece. We can't favor one group over another.
In a stern warning to his inspectorate officers, the governor said that fairness must be exercised in his orders and implementation must be taken with a lot of seriousness. He further directed the chief officer in charge of security, Anthony Kimani, to ensure that all officers operate while in full uniform.
I want all officers to be uniformed. All our officers. I don't want people operating without uniform. They must all be uniformed unless it is a covert operation of plainclothes team. That is specific people. Everyone must be uniformed and identifiable. Lazima uwe na jina yako na namba enye inaonekana.
The Nairobi County boss has meanwhile directed that inspectorate officers must undergo refresher training on how to handle people during operations.
Training itakuwa ni mandatory. Tutafanya training ya customer service, training ya enforcement, ile refresher. You're very well trained officers. But there are two ways to do something and get the same outcome.
Alice Diana, Hope TV Newswatch.
Thank you, Alice, for that report. Now, squatters on the land belonging to the late Gershon Kirima in Jiru and Choka area have today met after the Environment and Lands Court ordered them to vacate the land by the 31st of December this year. Kasarani MP Ronald Karauri, who addressed the residents, questioned how the Kirima family came to own such a vast estate in an area where the majority of the people are landless. He promised to fight head-on, pointing an accusing finger at the government, whom he says is sitting on the fence while houses and apartments are being built on contested land. The MP stated that the area residents who are facing eviction are willing to negotiate with the Kirima family, but urged the courts to vacate the land ownership judgment if it was proven that the estate was acquired fraudulently. Embakasi East MP Babu Owino has on his part met with Mihango residents and urged them to fight back any attempts to demolish the properties.
Mimi nilihamia hapa 2013 hapo 2014 tulinunua hapa tukajenga nyumba, na tulipokuja tuliambiwa ni scheme, ni kama ni mradi ambapo shamba lilikuwa la mzungu, kwa hivyo sasa linarudi kwa wenyeji. Kwa hivyo tukafanya search, tukaona shamba ni la mzungu, kwa hivyo tukaanza kujenga hapa, tukanunua na tukaanza kujenga na tukaendelea. Baadaye ndio tukafanya search nyingine, tukagundua kwamba shamba ni la Kirima, na kukawa na hiyo kesi inaendelea. Tukaweka hiyo kesi kotini, ikawa inaendelea, na jana ndio ilimalizika. Kwa hivyo koti imesema shamba ni ya Kirima, tunajua ni shamba ni ya Kirima, lakini sasa tumejenga, tuko hapa, na japo tulilipa mara ya kwanza kununua kukuja hapa, tuko tayari pia kukaa na familia. Kama serikali inaweza kutuwezesha tukae na familia ili tujadiliane, tuweze itakuwa uchungu kulipa mara ya pili, lakini tutalipa kwa sababu hatutaki pia yeye mwenye shamba adhulumike.
This 1,000 acres parcel of land clearly belongs to the people of Embakasi East constituency. Next, the president has been so active with the issue of the affordable housing that he wants every Kenyan citizen to have a house, and that he's moved and practically started construction of the said houses. Why then should we encourage as a government demolition of houses, as was recently experienced in Mavoko? I once again call upon Kirima's family, because Mr. Kirima has already died. He died many years ago. And right now, find it easy in your heart to come on the table and talk with my people.
Our members of parliament have meanwhile used the afternoon session today to debate the Mavoko demolition, which has left residents homeless and counting huge losses. While moving the adjournment motion to debate the matter on the national concern, the National Assembly legislators condemned the demolition that left the residents homeless due to a court order and urged the government to compensate the dwellers. The legislators further accused the Kenya Kwanza government of reneging on its promises to demolish people's homes and called for settlement with those laying claim over any parcel of land.
This is a manifestation of a failed institution or institutions. And the government come up and do a plan of compensation for the people of Mavoko. And the land that is remaining, let it be reverted back to the county government, because it is our land. And it is the government of Machakos who will decide on what to do. There is nothing like Portland.
Now we shall separate the beans from the stones. We can't sit here and start blaming the government. Government has nothing to do with this. In actual fact, what we are telling the government to move with speed, ICC, NIS, all of them.
Mr. Speaker, that is mockery and ungodly. If such a scenario was supposed to be considered, then they should have done that before they demolished the houses. So what they are doing now is just adding insult to injury. And these kind of things are going to happen. Next day we'll hear of another house. Next year we'll hear of another home. We'll hear of another land that was grabbed or not grabbed. The bottom line is, as the government sits down and demolish these houses, how about those other houses that are there and the title deeds are 3 or 4 out there?
Kwa njia ya kufurusha kiholela katika mashamba. Vipi sasa amepata kura, amekuwa baba wa taifa la Kenya, anagandamiza wa Kenya katika hali kama hii ambayo si ya kimsingi.
Machakos, there are people who have been given work there to do. So the people we need to be addressing are people like the EACC, the DCI. They need to rush and get the people who did this to the innocent Kenyans and make them pay.
It's like an interview. It's a questionnaire they're filling for me. So, Honorable Speaker, this is where now we need This is where all the security agencies, this is where the government now needs to weed out this group. We have the other parcels of land, the Kirima land. We have so many other such cases in this country. I therefore urge soberness.
And after months of heightened tension and an uneasy calm has settled along the Kenya-Ugandan border, a region that recently experienced hostilities and rampant cattle theft after 15 years of relatively peaceful coexistence among the Sabin, Karamoja, and Pokot communities. Now, leaders from the West Pokot County in Kenya and their counterparts from Uganda are gearing up for a peace dialogue and celebration set to take place in 2 weeks' time. This follows a disturbing resurgence of violence resulting in numerous fatalities and widespread livestock theft. Veronica Wanjiru with that story.
Leaders from West Pokot, including former Governor John Lonyangapu, Deputy Governor Robert Komole and local MPs, have been on a mission to foster peace in the region bordering Uganda that has suffered from rampant cattle rustling and tribal clashes. They have visited the Katikomor area to intensify calls for unity among the warring communities and announced plans for a significant peace celebration and reconciliation event in the Kangwan area in 2 weeks' time.
Sisi kama county government ongozwa na governor wetu tuko na mipango ya kuwaita viongozi katika sehemu ya Uganda na viongozi katika sehemu ya West Pokot ili tuweze tukae chini tutengeneze mikakati ili tunapoenda sasa kuongelesha watu katika baraza tuwe tumekubaliana kama viongozi wote na ili amani iweze kutokea katika sehemu hii.
Professor Lonyangapu highlighted the success of border peace schools as a symbol of unity, advocating for their expansion as a lasting solution for regional insecurity. He urged the county government to prioritize the completion of these schools.
Shule tumechenga inaitwa Peace Border School, nikachenga ingine Kanyirus same size, nikachenga ingine Akulo kati ya Pokot na Pokot East, Pokot West na Turkana, tukachenga ingine mbili kati ya Pokot na Karamoja mbanda ile na kila mahali. Kwa hivyo kwa ujumla nilichenga karibu shule 8 Peace Border. Hiyo concept ya Peace Border School mimi mwenyewe niliketi nikaona maono ili kapila ambazo zinaumiswa na wisi ya ng'ombe, na hii ni kama kinonda kubwa, dawa yake ni kupanda shule ya amani ili watoto waje wasome.
Deputy Governor Robert Komole emphasized the importance of dialogue in restoring peace and urged the government to reinforce security in the region. Kapenguria MP Samuel Moroto emphasized unity among leaders and vote to prevent further loss of life.
Lakini tumesema kwamba tutakalia mpaka tuone kwamba hakuna maisha mengine tapotea kama hiyo, na wale wakora kama hao wapatikane na wapewe adabu ile ambayo nini itaweza kusaidia. Na wazee na vijana wameamuka na wanasema tunataka kufanya pamoja. Kwa hivyo tunaambia majirani zetu wa Sabei pole, tutafanya pamoja na tunaona kwamba amani yetu iwe kama zamani. Hiyo ndio kitu moja kubwa.
Residents have welcomed these peace initiatives, noting that the return of some stolen cattle as a positive outcome. However, challenges persist, and the upcoming peace meetings between leaders from Kenya and Uganda aims to address these issues and ensure lasting stability in the border region. Veronica Wanjiru, reporting for Hope TV Newswatch.
And it means just in now, all 59 MCAs at the Meru County Assembly have voted to unanimously impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza. The MCAs voted to remove the governor, paving way for the Senate to now decide her fate. Majority Leader Evans Karia had moved the motion for the second time to impeach the governor, accusing her of misuse of office, among other many allegations. Earlier today, the Court of Appeal declined to bar the Meru County Assembly from debating the impeachment motion after the governor, through her legal team, argued that she can only be impeached after the tens of pending court cases in Meru County are heard and determined. And after months of wrangles and blame games between the opposition Azimio la Umoja, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula, and the Jubilee Party faction allied to President William Ruto, nominated MP Sabina Chege has now been removed as Deputy Minority Whip. Chege has been replaced by Embakasi West MP Mark Mwenje, who had been nominated by Jubilee as her replacement. Sabina had lodged a case in court to block her ouster. However, the Kiambu High Court dismissed the case early this month, declaring that she had not exhausted all the dispute resolution mechanism within Azimio. During today's afternoon plenary session, Speaker Wetangula ruled that Sabina will act as an interim whip for her faction that represents 21 of the 28 MPs after it petitioned for recognition as a parliamentary group.
My submission is that from the period between the 6th of April 2023, when I first wrote to your office concerning the changes, and today, the 25th of October, our position as a coalition is that the Honorable Sabina Chege has been holding that office illegally. And therefore, whatever benefits, let me complete. Because my second leg, the second limb of this application is that the Honorable Mark Mwenje has, in the opinion of the coalition, been working since the 30th of May 2023.
The rambling letter, Honorable Speaker. I will not want to also restrain myself from commenting on the rambling letter by the Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, who, as you have noted, is a former member of this House and ought to address the office of the Speaker, and indeed any member of this House, with the respect that they deserve, including the Leader of Minority. Honorable Speaker, to also congratulate the Honorable Mwenje on his accession to the office of Deputy Whip of the Azimio One Kenya Coalition. As I equally congratulate the Honorable Sabina Chege on her ascension to the office of Whip. And Honorable Speaker, you may note with your Solomonic wisdom, the Honorable Sabina Chege has now been elevated from a Deputy Whip to a substantive Whip. She now ranks the same with Whip Silvana Sosoro and Whip Junet Mohammed. The Honorable Mwenje now ranks as a Deputy Whip from being an ordinary member of Jubilee. But Honorable Speaker, I've heard what the Honorable Leader of Minority is asking. At what point do these changes take place? Honorable Speaker, it is my humble submission that the changes take effect today upon communication by the Speaker to the House.
And Hurricane Otis has made landfall on the coast of southern Mexico, bringing wind speeds of up to 270 kilometers per hour. According to the Mexican National Hurricane Center, the storm touched down near the popular Acapulco resort just after midnight on Wednesday Mexican time. Authorities have warned of a life-threatening storm surge and the possibility of landslides as heavy rains pelt the area. Power outages have already been reported in Guerrero, according to Mexico's civil protection body. School classes across the state were cancelled in preparation of the storm's arrival. President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador urged people to move to emergency shelters and away from rivers, streams, and ravines. So let's take our first short break here on Hope TV Newswatch. We'll be back with the day's business news.
I've actually been trying to find a balance. It's been really tough and hectic, but everyone says once you get a hang of it, it becomes better, and I don't know, but I'm hoping to find a balance soon because it's really been hectic. But you've been in the job industry for a long time, so I think you would know better. Cindy?
Huh? What time is it? I need to catch up on Leadership Forum. Do they have a radio here? Never mind. I brought my own.
No way. You can't be serious. Wait, why do you have a radio and you can just catch up with the shows on Hope FM podcasts?
Really? Even Meet of the One?
Yeah. I mean, you can find them on whatever platform, name it. AfriPods, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it.
But I'm not subscribed on any of them.
So no worries. You can just check out the latest episodes on hopemediakenya.org.
You can now listen to select Hope FM programs on your favorite podcast streaming platform or directly on our website, www.hopemediakenya.org. Listen and live.
Welcome back. Now, Absa Bank Kenya has announced plans to double its sustainable finance allocation to 120 billion shillings in 2 years as part of its refreshed sustainability commitment. While unveiling the bank's sustainability report for the financial year ending December 31, 2022, Absa Bank Kenya Managing Director and CEO Abdi Mohamed said that this year alone, the bank has advanced about 60 billion shillings in sustainable finance, comprising components of green financing as well as inclusive finance. In the new sustainability report, the bank has highlighted its strategic interventions across 13 commitments made during the launch of its sustainability commitments in November 2020, covering various themes such as net zero commitments, social and environment impact, women and youth empowerment, and value creation for businesses and partners. John Elungata, the Secretary for Administration in the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, who spoke on behalf of the Principal Secretary Engineer Festus Ngeno, highlighted the critical intersection of the financial sector, environmental stewardship, and the fight against climate change.
We acknowledge an important modern-day reality that business and social goals are inextricably linked. And really the purpose of the Absa Group is empowering Africa's tomorrow together, one story at a time. As a financial institution, we have immense opportunity through our financing and intermediation role to influence and encourage sustainable practices in the economy.
Now, this report comes on the back of our Climate Financing Disclosure Report, which we released in August of this year, further demonstrating our unwavering commitment to the crucial sustainability agenda. As a board, we remain resolute and clear in our mandate as far as the continuous integration of sustainability principles in all aspects of our operations is concerned. We are thus intent on continuing to prove our commitment to living our beliefs and propelling our business forward on a path of sustainable growth, and today's event is a testament to this ongoing commitment.
Now, King Charles and Queen Camilla have hosted a reception at Buckingham Palace for Kenyan diaspora in the United Kingdom ahead of the King's state visit to Kenya in late October to early November this year. The reception celebrated Kenya's 60th years of independence and the warm relationship between the two countries and the strong and dynamic relationship they continue to build. Principal Secretary in the State Department for Diaspora Affairs, Roslyn Njogu, and Kenya's High Commission to the UK, Ambassador Manoa Esipisu, led the Kenyan diaspora delegation at the one-of-its-kind reception. During his visit to Kenya at the invitation of President William Ruto, the King will meet members of the government, faith leaders, and Kenyan Marines training with the UK Royal Marine. Standard Chartered Bank Kenya, in collaboration with the EB's Africa Incubation Center, has graduated the 6th cohort of the Women in Tech program. 7 startups walked away with a seed funding of 1.4 million shillings. The cohort consisted of 15 women-led startups under the theme Leveraging Technology for Impact. Among them, 7 startups received funding, namely Sign With Us, Instruct Africa, Saidiwa Rides, Panacare, Imani Health, No Learning Limited, RIA Soil Health Management. Now, Kariuki Ngari, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer for Standard Chartered Kenya, said the 7 now join 25 other women-led ventures that have taken part in previous editions of the program. Now, data on SMEs in Kenya indicates that 31.4% of SMEs are female-owned, significantly lower than the total number in Africa, which stands at 58%. according to the World Bank. Tonight's lessons from the entrepreneur businesses in the small and medium-sized enterprise sector have shown great resilience and determination to do their businesses better. Now, the recently held Absa Bank Business Club Annual Forum brought them together to get some insights from experts that can help them navigate the business terrain. Tonight's lessons from an entrepreneur coming right up. Tonight on Lessons from the Entrepreneur, we glean insights from the Absa Business Club that was recently held. This forum focused specifically on entrepreneurs in the SME sector. They have a myriad of challenges that they face. So this forum brought them together so that they can learn some insights that can help them as they navigate their journey in entrepreneurship. My name is Melissa Oduor, and this is Lessons from the Entrepreneur.
Talking about how the supply chain has really been affected and how most of the SMEs who are sitting with that supply chain have found it very difficult in terms of how they, one, access goods, access to financing, and access to markets. And as you said, in terms of what we're looking at through the banding world is you're finding a different way in terms of how your suppliers, your distributors are dealing with you. Because once the tide changed, we saw what happened during the Ukraine war. Suddenly, goods could not get it to our countries or different parts of the world at the time that they actually used to get into. We found our situations where even how we used to do things as banks, where I could not be able to release stock that you've already imported because your documentation has not arrived. And you have a situation where the goods are already at the port, but the documents are not here. So how do we deal with such kind of challenges? We found ourselves thinking different. So we had to find a way of looking at how we still have the risk imminent with us, but still mitigate it in such a way that you can be able to access these goods. We crafted different documents, arrangements, and we talked to shippers, we talked to government clearing agencies and customs, so that we can be able to have a smooth way of you accessing these goods without having those shipping documents. And we've seen this transit even now in terms of access of credit. Because, I mean, as interest rates rise, we've seen a lot of challenges around even your margins that we are seeing that SMEs are getting in their businesses. And for us to deal that, we had to come up and say, how do we ensure that you provide access to financing and still ensure that the customers and the retailers or distributors maintain a margin that is considerable to keep their businesses alive? And for us to do this, this is where the partnership around ecosystem came, where we partner with the corporates and say, let's sit back, let's look at a customer's trading history so that we can be able to provide limits that are concerning in terms of how they trade, not their financials, not look at their books in terms of how they've put it in place, because the story from a financial will not tell the story in terms of a day-to-day basis on how that customer runs his business. So these are all innovative ideas that we had to basically as a bank sit and ensure that we come through with them to support our SMEs.
What we see, we almost see like we are back to COVID times. Do you remember COVID times? And how you needed to think about what's your plan B, and how you needed to think how do I reposition, repivot my business to make sure that I continue to survive. And for me, I see when you think about where we are as a country, you almost need to think that you need to adapt to this new normal. We said COVID was a new normal. Now you need to actually take it a notch higher and think about, as a business person, where are your new revenue streams going to come from, right? And we have such great opportunities with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And I do not know to what extent businesses understand the opportunity that it portends, right? For them to actually think, how do I go across borders? You know, I just don't need to remain small anymore. COVID already taught us we can go online and we don't need to have a store, right? So how do you take that further to saying, I can actually do this in another country, right? There are already countries that are doing trade under the guided arrangement, and the ones that have met the minimum requirements, I understand there are about 21. Kenya is part of them, Mauritius, and therefore there's an opportunity for you to begin thinking, where do I go next? is that my target market? How are they? And for me, that's what really drives me when I think about, yes, they're talking about this big term, and for an SME, you've got to ask yourself, am I ready for all these opportunities? They keep talking about Africa being the next big market, right? So how are you positioning yourself? And that's what then drives me, given that I take care of SMEs, to figure out what kind of conversations do we curate to add value to their business and make sure that it's sustainable.
How do we connect our businesses to wealth management? First of all, just to say congratulations for taking the first initiative to start a business. That is wealth building. So you're building wealth through your businesses, but we need to take it now to the next level. So after you've made money, how do we ensure that our businesses continue thriving, expand, as we are saying, because businesses expand through capital. So wealth management comes in to link your money, both the business and yourself, to greater opportunities and greater revenue lines that you do not necessarily make when you're dealing in your business. What I mean is, you've made money as a business, you have a balance sheet. Many times, SMEs commingle personal money and the business money, and that remains almost a blurred sort of place where you cannot differentiate the two. So when you come to wealth management, we help to delink and to manage those monies in a manner that to support the business to continue thriving, so your balance sheet becomes stronger. And you know that because when you come to our transactions, the bank will ask you about your balance sheet and your financials and things like that. So we help you to make sure that you have a solid balance sheet that is well invested, that is secure, that has the cash flows, because cash flow is king. Then we come to yourself, you do not need to forget you. So we want to help you in your wealth journey to reinvest part of the money that you have made, part of the profits that you have made, the earnings that you're making, so that you secure and you achieve your objectives and your goals for the future. And your objectives are many. It could be retirement, because we forget ourselves. We work all around and we forget that perhaps we are going to retire at one time. You have goals where you want to take maybe your children to higher education, and you're thinking the business will take care of that, but that needs to be outside the business and needs to be taken care of in the right way. So that's how we're entering. We also do a lot in risk management, just making sure that risk is managed properly. Capital is allocated efficiently, because you need capital to be allocated in the most efficient manner. And we are very good in research, and we're good in telling you this is the risk that maybe you can afford at this point, and this is the risk that you do not need to take. In a bunny world, risk management becomes very critical. And I know Julia will talk about risk management in terms of insurance products, but there's risk management in terms of selecting where do you allocate your shilling so that it is most safe.
Most times when you think about insurance, most people, they find themselves lost in what do I need to have today? And every day we wake up, we come to work, we run our businesses, we are employees, and we do so much. We are faced with risks. And whether we are traveling, whether we are seated on our desk, and I tell people, like, even when we are seated here, everybody here probably has some level of insurance. It could be your medical insurance, it could be education for your children, it could be your car. If you've driven here, you've got that. So every day you're waking up, you're faced with risks. You're coming to work, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know what's the next move. Sometimes we face accidents. There was COVID the other day, and we saw people paying bills up to 4 million shillings, 8 to 10 million. And what do we come in to bring into this conversation? We are saying, even as we're operating in the bunny world, we are saying that we are here to help mitigate this risk that you face every day. We are here to offer solutions, because we can see how you start your business and you're wondering what are the areas that if anything happened, then my business goes bust. It could be fire, for your premises. It could be you're the key person running your business today, that if you get even admitted, that business is struggling to survive because you're not on stage. you are the parent of these children, so you need some level of insurance. So if maybe there's some disability, money can be injected to support the family. It could be that you're trying to make profit and there are natural calamities that are beyond your control. It could be drought, it could be, hailstorm. Those things affect people who are even in crop. And then you don't know, you put in so much money and then you're losing it. So we are saying for a fraction of an amount of money you can put in, and if the risk happens, then we come back to compensate you. And I use an example of a phone. All of us have phones, maybe whether smartphone or and whichever phone you have. If this phone falls down and it breaks, you'd have to go to your account and replace it. But if you had a pre-insurance, you'd not need to do that. You just come to us, you claim it, and we give you another phone. Then you can use that money to inject it back to your business and generate more.
For SMEs, I can't leave this place without saying, the money we see in your account is what really supports how much we can lend to you. So it's so important. I always say, even if it's 1,000 shillings, 200 bob, let it hit your account. Then make your transactions from there. Because that's what will actually tell us that I'm having this business. And I know a lot of times now, especially with M-Pesa in Kenya, you're able to trace some of these transactions. And we do look at M-Pesa statements to support our conversation.
It could be that you're doing businesses together, you're importing things together, that you could insure them together, then you enjoy economies of scale. And other than that, also you're for your own individual insurances, because I've seen people, WhatsApp groups are a lot today about fund drives for funeral covers. Your funeral people have died and you have to fund drive for them. And you've seen a lot of these things coming, even weddings, people are fund driving for that. And you could actually take some insurance out of that. Then as a group, you find, because you've paid this amount of money, and it's as low as even 2,000 shillings a year, 2,500 a year. And if something happens to a member in the group, then you're paid 200,000 to take care of that. Then you don't have to fundraise to actually pay for the funeral for that member. So there's so many things we can do together as groups and insure as a group, and you're able to get compensated when this happens. And it saves actually your capitals and the money that you have in the bank.
Je, ushawahi kuweka jambo kwenye mizani? Ushawahi kupata uzito wake? Haya basi, usitapetape zaidi. Naomba unigande, maana mizani ipo hapa kwa ajili yako.
Vyakula na mbegu za kitamaduni,
na kutuliza fikra na kukuwezesha kupima masuala ibuka katika jamii, tena kwa busara. Tukutane mizani kila Ijumaa saa 1 machweo kwenye runinga ya Hope TV.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Juu ya mwamba huu nitalijenga kanisa langu. Hapa leo hii tuko na msikiti wa Mariamu, msikiti wa Yesu.
Kumbe kuna msikiti wa Yesu.
Ukiandika msikiti wa Yesu Kristo, mwana wa Mariamu, weka injili ndani, hubiria watu injili.
Kitabu ya Yohana inaandikwa 110 AD na Ufunuo Yohana 248 AD.
Na Qur'ani.
Mimi nakueleza habari ya Yesu kwanza, ufahamu hiyo kwanza.
Ungana na walimu wa neno wanapochambua masuala tata katika Biblia, wakiyalinganisha na vitabu vingine vya kidini.
Qur'an imekuja mwaka 600 baada ya Injili.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Biblia inasema pepo la nini? La uaguzi. Pepo la uaguzi maana yake inaweza ikajua wewe nyumbani kwako umetoka saa ngapi. Unajua mapepo yanajua hivi. Kwamba leo ulikula chakula gani.
Kama Bwana Yesu alitumwa kwa wana wa Israeli peke yao, wengine wetu ambao tunamwamini, basi sehemu yetu iko wapi?
Yesu ndiye njia. Kila Jumamosi saa 2 hadi saa 4 ya usiku kwenye runinga uipendayo ya Hope TV.
To sports now, athletes from over 90 nationalities have registered for this year's iconic Standard Chartered Marathon that will be held in Nairobi on the 29th of October. Registration has so far closed with 22,000 participants registered for the races that are in their 20th edition this year. Addressing the press on the road closures during the marathon, the organizers instructed all those who will participate in the marathon to arrive at the designated start points at least 1 hour before the races begin. This will ensure the road closures do not affect them. The races registered for the 21-kilometer wheelchair race, the 42-kilometer full marathon, the 10-kilometer and the 5-kilometer races. Participants have been instructed to come 1 hour before their races so that they can know how to get to the venue.
Athletics Kenya have worked on the route. We've had a lot of input from running clubs to make sure that we provide an event that will not only be fun but also will provide a good experience for those who are running professionally. So this is our 20th edition of the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. We are very excited and we're very grateful for all the partners and sponsors who've been with us for the last 20 years and also for all the participants. In the last 19 editions, we've had 270,000 participants, and we are very excited. We closed our registration on Sunday, as we had planned, and we've closed our registration with about 22,000 participants. So we have 22,000 people registered for this year's marathon.
National Police Service will be there for the coverage, and there will be no worry. We will be there, all of us. But today, I'm here just to enlighten you on road closure on that day. You'll be crossing Southern Bypass entrance and exit. That is, you'll be Standard Chartered Marathon, you'll be using Southern Bypass, and we'll be crossing that road in some areas as from 11 p.m. According to the share and others from Standard Chartered, you had indicated at midnight. But for us, traffic to be sure, we'll be there by 11 p.m. By 11 p.m. is the time you'll be starting crossing.
And KCB Bank has been on a good run in the ongoing Kenya Institute of Bankers KIB Interbank Sports at the Kenya School of Monetary Studies and other selected venues. The women's tug-of-war team defeated their arch-rivals Equity Bank 2-0 in the quarters to set up a mouth-watering semi-final clash against Central Bank of Kenya CBK. The volleyball affair was one-sided as KCB Bank Kenya women's volleyball team trounced their sister company NBK 2-0 at 25-5, 25-12 and will face Absa tomorrow afternoon in the semis. The bank has also advanced to the lawn tennis final in the men's category after seeing off Equity 2-0 in a riveting encounter at the Parkland Sports Club yesterday evening. In the women's category, KCB lost 2-0 to Equity Bank and playoffs the third position today. That's how we end Newswatch tonight. I have been your anchor, Melissa Oduor. Boniface Moredi has been helping us with the sign language. Have a restful night.